Now it's a podcast.
Boppity boopy.
Time to get spoopy.
Roll the intro. Hello, my name is Zach.
And my name is Nick.
And welcome back to Careless Opinion Podcast, dear bud.
Oh yeah, dear bud.
You know what time it is?
Oh, the best time.
What you sipping
on? I'm sipping on this gosh darn blackberry mead. What are you sipping on there, Zach?
Seltzers.
Oh.
Smirnoff Seltzer, to be exact.
Nice.
I felt good about it. I think I had it in the last podcast too, actually, but I was just like, screw it, I got more.
It's classic.
Spooky history. Spoopy history. History is littered with terrifying crap.
Yes.
Period blank.
Period.
I mean, just a lot of scary crap in history, dude.
Definitely.
And today, we're going to be talking about some of that scary crap.
Yeah.
Make sure you stick around to the last 20 minutes of this video, specifically, because that's when we're going to cover the two big topics.
Big ones.
But we are going to talk about some little tiny things, little digestible bites in the beginning. So, Nick, take it away.
All right. So, I got two. Two.
Okay.
I'm going to start with one that I think is kind of creepy.
Okay.
And by kind of, I mean really creepy.
Okay.
And weird. I think like a lot of like the 1800s and earlier, there's a lot of spooky stuff because it's kind of like didn't have the science. That's like the unknown factor.
Yeah.
So this one happened in 1882.
Okay.
In Exeter, Rhode Island.
Okay.
So there was tuberculosis going around, but
The old TB.
Yep. But they called it the consumption disease.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I know that's not supposed to be the scary part, but I absolutely hate that.
It's creepy. To
Thanks.
call it that.
I hate it.
Yeah. So Mary Brown had died because of this, and they literally said it consumed her, which is creepy. But so pretty much tuberculosis, it causes the body to rapidly deteriorate. Okay. And you get fevers and coughs, as we know. We've all had the vaccines test for it. But her daughter also was a victim and died from it. And shortly after, her little brother, he started getting symptoms. So
okay.
To try and beat it, they thought like maybe it was the climate, maybe it was the cold. So he moved out west for a little while. And when he moved back, his symptoms actually started getting worse. So they thought, their conclusion was, what if his dead family are actually vampires coming back to life and drinking his blood, and this is what is causing him to get sick? So, yeah.
Okay.
Reasonable thought process.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Believable.
So they decide to try and catch it to see. So they dig up the mother's grave, and it's nothing but bones. So they're like,
Nice.
It can't be that.
Okay.
But when they dug up the sister's grave, she was fully intact, and it looked like she had just died. And
Whoa!
Yeah.
How long had she been dead?
Like 3 months.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's creepy. Okay, all right, what else?
So when they did the autopsy on her, they found coagulated blood in her stomach. So they legit thought...
What the
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now here's the scientific thing.
Okay, you're going to ruin it with science.
Yeah, I'm going to ruin it with science. So they said that, of course she wasn't a vampire or whatever.
Yeah.
That when she died in the winter, she'd only been dead for 3 months, but the winter basically created the grave as a giant refrigerator, so it preserved her body. But to be spoopy, she was a vampire.
That is kind of creepy, though.
It is, yeah. Just like to be at that time and all those things happen.
Yeah, I don't know what's creepier. The fact that medical science was so awful that they just figured it was vampires, or the fact that they dug someone up and she was intact.
Intact. That's the crazy part.
That would be like imagine if we didn't have like the medical science we had today, and we dug someone up, and lo and behold, they had been dead for like 4 or 5 months. They were just perfectly preserved, and we were assuming that they were a vampire, and boom, that's a vampire.
That's a vampire.
Grab a steak, quick.
Yeah.
We're about to run it through her heart. None of that crap.
None of that.
That is really that's spooky.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
Spooky. You got one?
Oh,
you got one?
This one's eerie.
Okay.
Because it starts technically as spooky history, but it's also around today.
Oh.
That's what makes it super spooky history. You ever heard of Rainbow Valley, Nick?
No.
Well, I'm going to tell you about Rainbow Valley.
Okay.
Rainbow Valley is an accidental graveyard.
Accidental, okay.
On Mount Everest.
Oh.
The reason they call it Rainbow Valley is because of all the multicolored jackets and climbing gear attached to all the corpses that are littered along a hillside on Mount Everest.
Oh.
So, as you know, people die every year climbing Mount Everest. When they die, a lot of people don't realize that getting a body off of a mountain is not just an easy feat.
Right.
9 times out of 10, they unfortunately leave them there in like the permafrost.
Oh.
And they essentially get mummified. So it got its name because of all of the just fluorescent colored jackets you can see. It is an actual thing. And what's so creepy about it too is after a long period of time, it actually is a part of climbing what they call markers on the mountain, as well as it's a part of climbing goals now, where it's like a goal to reach said body.
Oh, that's creepy.
On your climb. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's morbid.
That is
very morbid.
Super morbid, yeah.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one? I thought you'd like that one.
That one's creepy. That one's very, very morbid. The next one that I have is about a beloved poet, a little poet named Edgar Allan Poe.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well-known nobody. Got it.
Well-known nobody.
He kind of really was a well-known nobody. I don't know a lot about Edgar Allan Poe, but I do know that he was kind of a nobody to an extent.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I know he didn't get like famous essentially till he like died.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I don't know how he died. I don't know much else about him.
Oh, well, you about to learn how he died.
Oh, am I? Cool. All right.
Because I had no idea how he died until I was
sick. Bring it.
Yep. So
bring it.
So in 1849,
okay,
Edgar Allan Poe was going on a little trip to help another author in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So he packs up his bags and he leaves, and nobody knows what happened. They found him in Baltimore. Nobody knows how he got to Baltimore instead of Philadelphia.
Okay.
But that's where they found him. And when they found him, he was just laying on the road in like rugged clothes that he did not leave in, that he did not own. And so they brought him back. He was in a coma. And while he was back, while they're like tending to him, he would be thrashing around or shaking while in a coma, and all he would keep saying was Reynolds. And he died. And that's all. They didn't know how he got into the coma or anything, but he died in a coma, just violently shaking, repeating the name Reynolds. Some people thought maybe it was rabies, and then there's the other conspiracy. They're called Coopers. And Coopers were people that would find travelers and pretty much drug them or get them high on opium, get them drunk, and they would force them to go vote at like random polls. But I like the mystery that the Cooper thing didn't happen, that one of the creepiest poets died in a very creepy way. I
like the mystery behind it too. That is really cool.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool. It is really creepy. It's also kind of cool because he really was like a very creepy dude. Very morbid poetry, and to die it's almost poetic in itself.
It's almost poetic, yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's a weird one. So I have 2 more, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to do. I'll do the less morbid one because the other one isn't really creepy. It's just kind of weird, but this one's creepy. So back in like the 1800s, there was a woman who was walking through a graveyard, and she came across a open grave, and she decided to kind of peek in, and there was a man alive
Oh.
in his casket that was halfway dug out. He had dug himself up a little bit, asking for help.
Oh, wow.
So they took him to the hospital. They found out he was buried prematurely. He was alive.
Oh, jeez.
I think he was like in a coma, and he was buried, and he woke up in a casket. So he went. I read all this really cool stuff about it. Actually, it's really creepy. It's also very interesting. He went on to say when he was in the coma in the casket, he was listening to his own funeral.
Oh, no.
And he was like, I couldn't do anything except sit there. So he unfortunately died, actually, somewhat shortly after, just due to infection and a few other things, just due to just being buried, because he was buried for like a few days.
Oh, wow.
After that incident, in the 1800s, they started putting little hooks with bells on gravestones. And what they would do is they'd run a rope or a little string from the bell through the ground in a little tube into the casket.
Oh, wow.
So if someone was buried alive, they could pull the string and ring the bell. What makes it creepier is there used to be reports where people would be walking around the graveyards at night and they would dig up bodies because they were watching bells move and strings move. They would dig up bodies and just find skeletons.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's a good one, right?
That's a good one. That's creepy.
Yeah, those are creepy little ones. So now it's time for the big boys. The big topics. We got two really good ones, and we're going to start with Nick taking the floor on this. The Salem Witch Trials.
Oh, man.
Good God. A lot to unpack.
So the Salem Witch Trials are pretty infamous, but
yeah.
So the Salem Witch Trials, they actually started in spring, February-ish, 1962, and they went all the way to like May of. Did I say 1962?
You did. Did you mean
Dyslexia. I mean
1692?
1692.
Dyslexic.
Oh my God.
Do you want me to say the dates for you?
Yes, please, sir.
They went from February and spring in 1692 to May of 1693.
Yeah.
There's the dates.
There's the dates.
Continue.
Sorry, the dyslexia is real. We have notes.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a total of like 200 people accused and like 30 people guilty within that time, and it all started with like these three girls who pretty much were just like, we danced in the woods with the devil, and that was just like the kicker, you know. And so out of all the people accused and the people guilty, 19 women were hung and 5 men were hung. And that was something when I was doing research, I didn't realize that like men were involved. I thought it was like
I didn't know this till you literally just said that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at your notes. I'm looking at the top part of your notes for the dates, and that was all I looked at. That is a shock to me.
That was a shock. That was a shock for me. And they even were like killing the pets because they thought that they were like the slaves of the witches. So they were killing pets.
That's kind of dope.
Along with people. That was pretty crazy.
It's like, okay, so I knew somewhat about the pets. I didn't know they were murdering pets though.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's kind of dark.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
I guess that's where like when you hear about like witches like black cats or something.
Yeah,
maybe that's where that comes from.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Continue.
But yeah. So there was one of the gentlemen that was killed. His name was Giles Corey, and he wasn't hung. He didn't get that. He got pressed.
What's that?
He got pressed. This is metal, dude.
All right.
This is like savage.
Hit me up.
Like savage people would do this.
Okay.
They like laid him on like a block, and they would just keep stacking heavy things on top.
Oh.
Continuously until he was.
Just flat. Jesus Christ.
Just flat. Yes, sir.
That's brutal. Okay.
That is brutal. But at the end of the day, you know me.
Okay.
You know me.
Okay.
I'm a man of science.
I do know you. Yes.
I am a man of science.
You are a man of science.
So, some of the people would say like people would get like convulsions or whatever, like mental stuff, and they would be like, "Oh, it's a witch, it's a witch."
Yeah.
It turns out, science fact, that there was actually it could have been a strain of fungus that was in their bread and rye and everything that could have been poisoning them to cause them to have those hallucinations.
Really?
Yeah. So all that history, everything that was done, everything could have been because of that.
Wow.
Science.
That's wow.
Yeah.
The science behind that's fascinating. I know that when we were talking about doing the witch trials, you said that there were a bunch of different ways that they tested it.
Yeah.
And I know that you had told me like I don't know how to condense these, so I took the time to condense it.
Good.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. I took the time. I took
You
the
got me,
notes.
fam.
I took the notes for you. Don't worry, buddy. So there were seven. There were more than seven, but the seven main ways to test people was it was the swimming test, the prayer test, the touch test, the witch cakes,
Okay.
the witch marks, the pricking and scratching tests,
Okay.
and the incantation tests.
Incantation test.
So among all these, I went through three that I thought were definitely the most like, okay. So we'll start with the swimming test. I thought the swimming test was really interesting. It's the most infamous one. I think I'm sure a lot of people have kind of heard about this to an extent. So what they would do is they would take a accused witch, male or female, now that I know that, and they would take them to the nearest body of water, and they would strip them down to their underwear and tie weights to them, and two people would drag them out and drop them. The thought process on it was this. If you're baptized, you should be able to sink.
Okay.
If you were a witch, you've essentially recanted your baptism, and the water would reject you, and you would float, even like being tied down.
Okay.
So I thought that was very interesting, and I wish they had gone in more in depth on the stuff I researched about, like, well, what happened if someone didn't come up? Like, were they timing it? It's like count to 30, and if they don't come up, then we need to get them out. They're not a witch.
Right.
I mean, that's saying 30 people were killed. That's it. So it's very curious as to like, well, 30 people were accused. So I'm like, out of the 200 people, though, I would love to know how they went about that.
Yeah.
So this one is called, this is the touch test. The touch test was interesting to me. So what they would do is they would take someone who's essentially having fits, so like having seizures or like mental incapacities, and they would take them to a accused witch. If they were pure, if this person was pure though, and they weren't a witch, if they took the hand of the person who's having this fit and made them touch them, they would come out of the fit because they're pure of heart through God. But if they didn't come out of the fit, they were a witch because the devil was continuing to let this person have fits.
Oh.
I'm assuming a lot of people probably failed that test.
Yeah.
But was, well, let me rephrase that. I assumed that, but I went through, no. Out of the 200 accused that I found, 2 people failed that. Just 2.
Just 2. Wow.
Just 2. And only 30 people were charged. Keep that in mind. Very interesting. This was the one that I thought, this was the most disgusting. And I mean that, and like, it's just gross. This is the witch cakes.
Witch cakes.
Witch hunters would track down a supposed witch and force the witch to urinate in a cup.
Okay.
They would then take the urine and they'd mix it with a rye meal and ashes and soil from the land that the witch lived on. And they would turn it into a cake.
Okay.
And then they would feed it to the dog or the pet of the witch, as well as families of the witch, in hopes that whoever so the goal of that essentially was they feed it to them, and it's a devil's mixture, and the person or the animal would actually start speaking and say, this person's a witch, and start telling you that the person whose urine it was from was a witch and what they had done.
Oh.
It's a weird one, right?
That's weird. Like, how do you... What? I guess science wasn't a big thing back then.
Nah.
I just don't see how you come to that conclusion. That's dirty.
Yeah, what I found really interesting about the Salem witch trials that I learned through doing some of the research I had to do for this as well was the term like witch hunt.
Yeah.
People are like, this is a witch hunt. It's coined from the Salem witch trials because the Salem witch trials is actually the first example in America of mass hysteria.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what they actually like attribute it to. Where someone goes, like, so if someone ever says, where did mass hysteria start? The answer is the Salem witch trials.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's weird, yeah.
So yeah, there is that, and now we'll move on to our final topic.
All right.
Insane asylums.
Ooh.
Good God, insane asylums are terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, period blank. It's very different compared to today, where you have like a psychiatric hospital. Insane asylums started during the Civil War era in America, actually. It started mainly for people who actually had PTSD. That's one of the things they were doing with it. And like, people who were injured from the wars and all that jazz.
Okay.
The reasons to be admitted to one were like terrifying.
Terrifying. Okay.
Because I mean, it was everything. It was everything.
Everything.
Anything could be qualified, essentially. Where like I read one report where a black man was admitted to an insane asylum because he told his slave owner he was thirsty.
Oh.
And they ruled him criminally insane.
What?
For doing that. People would be, I mean, it's crazy. There's that. People who just essentially woke up and had like the shakes, where it's like it's cold outside. People would assume, oh, you have the shakes. Oh, you must be you must be mentally ill. Insane asylum.
Oh, jeez.
Kids were abandoned in insane asylums all the time. Like young kids, just parents who didn't want to take care of their kids. Nothing wrong with the kids. We're just abandoned there. But that's the thing, back then, if you were taken to an insane asylum, guess what? You were qualified as insane. Bye.
Wow.
What they did with the kids, and the reason I brought up kids is my next like pinpoint on this. Kids were not treated the same in insane asylums.
Okay.
Most adults were thrown in straitjackets and, lobotomies and all that, like shock therapy. Kids were treated very differently. Kids were stripped naked, put inside of cages, and meant to just sit there and hose down with cold water every day for a few years until they decided that we can work with the kid.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. So, when it comes to testing and all that, they called it therapy. It's not therapy. It's just, It's barbaric. All of it is. I mean, good God. The testing is nuts. Shock therapy.
Yeah.
Where they tie you down, they put a piece of wood in your mouth tied to like a cloth around the back of your head so you have something to bite down on so you don't essentially bite your tongue in half. They put two little things to the side of your head, two little metal strips, put them to the side of your head, turn on a thing, and it actually runs electricity through your brain.
Ooh.
Ice baths, where they would force you to go sit in steam, like piping hot steam for hours, to the point like your flesh could potentially be peeling off. They would pull you out and immediately throw you into a like ice bath.
Ooh, that's not good.
No, I mean it sends your body into shock immediately.
Yeah.
And then the worst, the old lobotomy. The lobotomy, obviously, a lot of people know what a lobotomy is. It's where they essentially take a pick and they tap it into your brain and put a hole in your skull and in your brain to essentially like make you compliant. But what's so crazy about lobotomies is originally Lobotomies were used for other reasons, and they actually helped.
Okay.
They used to use lobotomies actually in ancient Rome, where what they would do if you had swelling of the brain, they would actually give you a lobotomy in two spots, one on the side of your head and then one on the front of your head, and they'd be rather large size, so the swelling would actually be reduced, and you would live like that and have no side effects.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. Once insane asylums realize if they go deep enough and they hit the brain, it makes you a little more complacent. Insane asylums will start doing it on like unruly patients. So like, if a patient is consistently having fits, or a patient is like just not listening, they lean you back and they click, 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 right into the front of you, like your frontal lobe.
Yeah.
You're done. You're a vegetable for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Some places would hang you upside down for hours to essentially, their reasoning behind it was it'll get blood flow to your brain properly so you'll be able to function.
Okay.
Yeah. What's actually, if you look at our thumbnail for this video, guys, that is actually a picture from an insane asylum in Italy. A old abandoned insane asylum from the 1800s in Italy. That is what that picture is on our thumbnail, guys, and it is creepy. That's very creepy. I don't like it.
That is very creepy.
Yes. So let's get to the Georgia insane asylum, because we live in Georgia.
There's a Georgia insane asylum?
I've been. It's creepy. It's abandoned, but you can just go tour it.
Ooh.
For freezies. It's open 24 hours a day.
Ooh.
You have to be careful though, because there's almost people in it. Like people have been living in it. It's in Milledgeville, Georgia. It's part of the Milledgeville campus, actually. It used to be Old East Milledgeville Hospital. It wasn't closed till the mid to late 1900s.
Oh my god.
Because it was being used as an actual hospital at a point. And now it's just it's only 200 acres of land too. It's huge. It's creepy, man. And it's a place you can go visit. So I'm saying that because if you live in Georgia, you can actually get a hold of Milledgeville College and ask to tour it, and they say no problem.
Oh, wow.
Very interesting. What's so creepy on it too is actually on the outside of it, they have the original plaque when it was first made. You can read it, and you can find pictures of it online where it says Milledgeville Insane Asylum for the criminally insane, stupid, lunatics, and retarded. It actually says that on the plaque, and it's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there. You can find the plaque. It's disturbing.
That's very disturbing.
So, one of the big reasons insane asylums actually closed down was from a bright young woman named Nellie Bly. In 1887, Nellie Bly decided that she wanted to do essentially an expose on insane asylums. So she went into the biggest one in New York City. There's a book about it. It's very interesting. She went on to quote and say that all night long, this is an actual quote, nearly all night long, I listened to a woman cry about the cold and beg for God to let her die, while another one yelled murder at frequent intervals and police at others until my flesh felt crawling.
Ooh.
So those are her actual quotes. She actually, so what's really funny is, I guess the best way to put it is, this was an expose on Joseph Pulitzer. Yeah. Very interesting. So, it's called Blackwell Island Insane Asylum.
Okay.
It's now Roosevelt Island is what it's called now. She talked about the brutality of it, and how insane it was, and how terrifying it was. She talked about how she actually saw some of these things go down, like some of the things I talked about. Very interesting. And due to her big expose on all of this, actually, this went on to full-blown put a big stop to insane asylums. So I have a picture that I'm actually going to show you, Nick. This is a picture that she took inside of it. This is what the women's division looks like inside that insane asylum in 1880. That is what it looked like. That is a picture she took. inside of the insane asylum.
Wow. It's like so close quarters.
Yep, she went on to say they take a perfectly sane and healthy woman and shut her up and make her sit from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on a straight back bench and do not allow her to talk or move during these hours. They give her bad food and harsh treatment and see how long it will take to make her insane. 2 months would easily break anybody. I lasted 10 days and I'm amazed I came out normal. They asked about like the men and what they did to men and children. She said what they did to men and children was nothing but pure neglect. They treated them just as harshly, if not some more harsh, than some of the women. I think their thought process was men are harder to break, so we can be more cruel to them. All things inside of this horrible place are nothing but neglect and heartless cruelty.
Wow.
Yeah. So they asked her, because she was inside the insane asylum. She went on to say that a nurse tied her hands and feet and threw a sheet over her head to muffle her screaming as they put her in a bathtub of cold water. They held me under until I gave up every hope and became completely senseless and non-replying. I woke up in my cell. She said that she was beat when she was there. I was pulled around by my hair, held underwater until I was strangled, and I was choked and kicked repeatedly on a daily basis. It was hopeless to complain to doctors, for they always said it was the imagination of our diseased brains. So that was
So that's what they used to try and get away with it.
Well, at the time, what they were doing is they were just pumping people full of morphine. And they're saying, oh, you're just hallucinating from your medicine. That's all. I mean, insane asylums are truthfully... they're kind of... I mean, aside from just being truthfully scary history, there's something I feel like a lot of things try to cover up. It's like a black mark in history.
Yeah.
It's just a smudge that we try to, like, kind of sweep away to an extent.
Because they went, like, well into the 1900s, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what's crazy in itself.
There was one video, and I wish I could find it. If anyone does find it, please link it in the comment section below. There's a video of a British man who did an expose on an insane asylum, and it was the first time they allowed video cameras inside of one, and it was actually the final nail in the coffin that all insane asylums were shut down.
Oh, wow.
Like, do not get me wrong, Nellie Bly's 1887 expose in New York definitely poked and prodded at it and really, like, kicked the hornet's nest. But that video was the final nail in the coffin. We need to shut all these places down.
Wow.
Yeah, insane asylums are crazy, man. I mean, there's so much to unpack with them, too, that we definitely can't fit it into one video.
Yeah.
It's a lot to deal with, man.
That's crazy. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where, like, you hear, it's like, oh, yeah, it's an insane asylum, but once you actually learn about it, you're like, why did we ever have those?
Yeah, like I said, I really do feel like it's something that people look at as like a smudge, and they're just like, didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that I will say, my takeaway from all of this, since it is history, this is my takeaway with all history. Despite how good or bad or wrong or right anything in history is, trying to erase it is not smart.
Yeah.
You can't just erase history. It's
Yeah.
not fair. And I know there's horrible things in history, and I'm highly aware of that. There's terrifying, despicable things in history. But you can't just erase history. It's unfortunately there. I think as a society, we have to learn from our mistakes. You have to talk about it. You
Very
really
true.
do.
Yeah.
If you don't, we're all destined to repeat it. Easy as that. That is my takeaway from spooky history.
That's a good takeaway.
Thanks.
I would agree.
Thanks. I've noticed every time we do like something like spooky, we do a takeaway normally.
Yeah.
So that's our takeaway on spooky history, for sure. History is doomed to repeat itself, so keep learning it.
Keep learning, yeah.
Don't just ignore it. It's you gotta learn, unfortunately. The harsh truth sucks, but you gotta know it.
You gotta know it.
You gotta know it. And that's it for spooky history. That's it.
Oh, man.
That's all the time we got.
That's all the time we got.
That's all the time we got. We're running out, actually. We better get to the promos.
The promos?
The promos. So we're almost to 50 followers, right?
Oh, no. I thought you forgot.
Oh, no. I didn't forget. And what sucks is Nick said in the last video that he was even comfortable about it now. So, Nick, you get to do this promo.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody.
Spill the tea.
So Zach and I have a lot of very embarrassing stories about each other. And once we get to 50 subscribers, we will give you guys a glimpse of what those stories are.
Oh, yeah.
So be looking forward to that. I may or may not be.
I am.
Zach is.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked about it.
But yeah, we thank you all for your support. It really means a lot to us. And thank you for watching the videos.
Yeah, thanks for 30. We're at 30 now as of this recording.
Dirty 30.
We're at the dirty 30 of this recording. Hopefully we'll beat the nifty 50.
Nifty 50, yeah.
Nifty
Let's
50.
go with that. I like
Hopefully
that.
We'll get to nifty 50 pretty soon. And as always, guys, is it really a careless opinion video if I don't do the whole don't you dare leave this video without liking it,
commenting,
subscribing,
sharing,
caring,
clicking that bell icon so you get notified when we upload,
following us on Instagram, which you can do right meow.
Now?
If you're on, right meow. Check it out. You've heard it before, and you're about to hear it again. If you're on your computer and you go to our banner on our beautiful YouTube page, we have a little Instagram icon. You click it, wham bam, it takes you to Instagram. Now, if you're on your phone or your tablet and you go to the bio info on our YouTube page, it says follow us on Instagram. And if you click that, it opens your Instagram app because, guys, technology.
Technology.
And as always, we will see you guys next time.
Podcast.